Corley Moore coming at you. Wanted to talk very briefly before the scrap starts tonight. And if you know me, you know that I love the vigilantes. I love the like-minded souls, and I'm always looking for ways that we can have more interaction. One of the things that every vigilante says when they join is they're looking to connect with those like-minded souls. They're looking to connect with other vigilantes and people who feel the way they feel. And so I'm constantly looking for ways to make that happen. So far, I love Patreon. I love Patreon for bringing us together, but it hasn't created that the ability to share information and things the way I wanted. But one thing we did discover was that Discord is integrated into Patreon. So we've been working for the last couple of weeks to launch a Discord server where the vigilantes can get together and hang out. Now, I'll be the first person to say I am not a tech guru. I'm much better at forcing doors and hook and sealing. I'm better at destroying stuff than I am at using technology. But that being said, Discord has so many options that look like they could be phenomenal for the vigilantes and for our growth and for the fellowship and the camaraderie that we want to share. It's got chat rooms that you can post in, separated by category, where we can have great discussions. It's got voice channels you can jump in and have voice discussions with people at the drop of a hat without needing to start a Zoom call or anything. You just drop in and drop out. You can share screens. We have plans. People have plans to share classes that they've built so they can get feedback before they go and teach those classes. I mean, there's so much that could be used for this Discord server, and we're just scratching the surface. So get in, come be a part of it, man. It looks to be an incredible platform, and if you want to be a part of it, head over to patreon.com/thevigilantes. Become a part, man. If you're not a vigilante, why not? $5 a month. You can't even afford a fancy coffee nowadays for $5. So $5 a month, you're a member of the like-minded souls. So come be a part. Looking forward to seeing and talking to you in the Discord. Stay safe.
In the demanding world of firefighting, training against real-world scenarios is crucial. Yet traditional training facilities often fall short in providing realistic, versatile, and cost-effective training solutions. Affordable Drill Towers presents a groundbreaking solution. By positioning an affordable drill tower alongside your existing Connex boxes burn buildings, a realm of realistic, multi-level training scenarios is unlocked. This integration has been adopted successfully by various fire departments, enhancing their training capabilities exponentially. Delve into the heart of live fire training scenarios within the Connex boxes, now amplified by the ADT's multi-floor access, providing an unparalleled training ground.
We started looking at Connex boxes about probably 10 years ago. To me, you can't beat them, especially for the price. The Affordable Drill Tower was the same way. We've got 6 floors, we've got standpipes on every floor, we've got more anchor points than you can count, we've got removable floors, removable stairs. We can go into the 2nd and 3rd floor off the drill tower, so whether you want to use it as an external stairwell or a high-rise, we can do all that and mimic just about any type of situation that the members of the fire department might encounter.
Experience cost-effectiveness, enhanced realistic training, versatile operations, easy multi-floor access, and innovative solutions to age-old training challenges. Take your fire department's training to the next level with Affordable Drill Towers. Reach out to Affordable Drill Towers to elevate.
Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance. It is Weekly Scrap number 271. My guest tonight is Chief Mike Lombardo. He is a 47-year veteran of the fire service. He was the commissioner/chief of the Department of Buffalo Fire Department from January 2006 to 2010. Mike was a member of the development team for the New York State Firefighter Survival and Rapid Intervention Programs. He is a 2-time Firehouse Magazine Heroism Award recipient and the recipient of the FDIC 1999 Tom Brennan Training Achievement Award. He has the degrees from the universities. You can find him on the 2015 National Fallen Firefighter Foundation Giving Courage, LODD Chiefs Speak documentary. He is a member of the board of directors of the Fire Department Training Network, where he represents and developed the Fire Command Program. He currently operates with the Christiana Fire Department in Delaware and the East Amherst Fire Department in New York. Man, there's that's just a small taste of everything, but that's small taste. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome him back to the Scrap. I'm excited to have you here for episode 271. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you very much, Corley. I appreciate being here.
I'm excited. Is there anything I missed? I mean, there's a ton I missed, I know, but is there anything you'd like to add?
I was played dodgeball in 5th grade.
Were you any good?
But otherwise, I think you got it all.
I love it. Audience, get ready. It's going to be a fun one. If get your questions in. Sam is watching the chat, so if you get your questions in, he will throw them at Mike and get them in here and throw them at him. And with that being said, I will get the sponsors done so we can get to scrapping. So here we go. Let's talk about those beautiful sponsors. Let's lead off with Snap Tight Hose. When it comes to performance under pressure, you need equipment that won't let you down. That's where American-made Snap Tight comes in. Built tough for firefighters, Snap Tight Hose is engineered to perform under pressure. Plus, Snap Tight Hose are easy to deploy and even easier to rely on, with unmatched heat resistance to abrasion and extreme temperatures. Here's the best part. They offer guaranteed shipping and 4-week lead times. Visit snaptighthose.com to learn more or find a distributor near you. Snap Tight Hose, reliable, durable, and ready when you are. Then there's the Affordable Drill Towers, on a mission to bring you cost-effective and versatile training props, like the Affordable Bailout Prop, which allows you to practice window bailouts, ladder bailouts, and ladder high-point rescues. They make the Affordable Standpipe Prop, which you can roll into the classroom for standpipe theory, and then once you're done doing the classroom, you can roll it into the parking lot and pump it realistically with flows and pressures. Of course, they make the Affordable Drill Tower. It comes in several configurations and standard with a standpipe system. You can choose from 1 or 2 sets of stairs or integrate it into your existing Connex boxes for the multi-story access or freestanding on a slab. All models are NFPA 1402 compliant and gain you ISO credit. The only thing that you can't do on an Affordable Drill Tower is live fire training. Call Steve at 844-55-TOWER or drop an email to info@affordabledrilltowers.com. Firefighter safety and accountability starts with being able to quickly find and identify individual firefighters operating on the fire ground. Identifier Safety combines the best in photoluminescent materials for durable firefighter identification solutions that can glow for up to 20 hours. No switches, no batteries, which means being able to rapidly identify firefighters by name, unit, or assignment, even under hot fire conditions. All designed and tested for the rigors of the job. Be seen, on scene, identifiersafety.com. And then one of my favorite people on the planet, Andy Starnes, Insight Fire Training Thermography, certified fire service professionals. Insight Fire Training specializes in training individuals across the globe in the tactical use of thermal imaging cameras and emergency services. Insight Fire Training developed the world's first thermography-based collegiate firefighter certification and trains firefighters, manufacturers, and industrial professionals across the globe. All right, there it is. Sponsors are done. We're ready to scrap. And Chief, last time we had good plans. We really did. And then, of course, we got to like a 10th of what we wanted to talk about. So today we're leading it off with line of duty deaths. That's where we're going to start. It's a somber discussion, but that's where we're going to start. So I'll let you kick it off.
So I'll talk about 2. Just to go back for a second, the Buffalo Fire Department's roughly 700 plus 750 members. And in their history, they were a fully paid department in 1880. And in their history, we've lost 116 firefighters. It's a pretty bloody past. It certainly drove me in my career. And just my own time, I was, during my career, we had 21 members killed in the line of duty. And of those, 10 of them I was on the scene for in one capacity or another, one rank or another. So it's a very, very difficult thing. I hope if you've never had one, good, it stays that way. And if you had, you never have another one. The reality of that is probably not real. I mean, no matter what we do in this business, there's an element of danger that nothing could look out for, no matter how hard we try. whether it's, you see some of the most bizarre acts in the world, explosions where something lands on somebody, hundreds of feet away, and shootings at fire scenes. I mean, these aren't things that we can get ready for and say, oh, if I do this, it'll be okay. But having said that, we can do a lot to try and get things to be better. So the two I'll talk about is, one was the last one we had, March 1st, 2023. I don't have a ton of material on it, but Jason Arno, a firefighter at Engine 2, responded to a fire in a 3-story craft and theatrical supply store. And they carried everything from clothing, dresses, and uniforms, and this, that, and the other thing, to pretty large, substantial styrofoam props and all different stuff like that. One of the things that they had wasn't like, they have clothes racks, but the clothes racks, a lot of them were galvanized pipe.
Okay.
And they'd be stronger, right? They could hold more, so on and so forth. And they had galvanized pipes. And as I said, that sort of played a little role later on. The incident came in the early morning, about 8:30 in the morning. Crews responded. They didn't have a lot on the side they were approaching from, but on the number 2 or Bravo side of the building, there was quite a bit of fire. Crews started in with lines, and there was a number of events at the fire. And Sam, if you didn't mind, if you could play that first one, the shorter one. So if you watch that, you'll see a very, 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 very big push of fire coming out the front of the building, pretty explosively, and the fire engulfs that floor pretty quickly. There were 4 different events at that fire.
Okay.
There was that one. It was at about 08 at the time frame. And then 017, 9 minutes later, there was another one. And there were 2 others. The first one occurred and moved firefighter Arno quite a distance, and he was off the hose line. He had been on the hose line. He was literally blown off it.
Oh, wow.
Crews started trying to find him. Guys from the rescue company had hands on him. Got to him, had hands on him. We're trying to get him disentangled, and he was wrapped up in some of these galvanized pipe wardrobes, for the lack of a better term. And they had their hands on him. They were working to get him going, get him out. And the second event, or a event, because I'm not sure 100% if it was the second or by then the third, but another event occurred, and guys from the rescue, Nikki Catanzaro, Kevin Lynch, were in the building, along with Chris Fuse, and they were again, this second event or further event occurred, and they couldn't find Jason again. They were blown all over the place. Wow. And they were having a lot of difficulty themselves figuring their way out. And Chris Fuse said, I got an exit here. They couldn't find Jason. They went out, got squared away, regrouped, and re-entered, and they were able to eventually get Jason out. Unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries. So if you play that second one, on the second one, you'll see sort of in the middle of the picture, or to the right of the middle, you'll see just a little puff of brown smoke. That's the only indication of something different. And then the second explosion occurs. You just see a little puff of brown. And if you want to play that, Sam, that second one.
All right.
Okay, and what I might have you do too is then play it again, okay? That's where the song comes. Play it again, Sam. But if you play it again, sure. Just you can take a look for that puff of darker brown smoke you'll see. And as I said, a pretty good explosion occurs. Two guys get taken right off their feet, completely knocked over, operating a 2.5-inch line. There's debris on top of that. And they get up pretty quickly and go right back to work. Getting that line. So they, guys certainly worked there tirelessly, their best to do what they could, but unfortunately, it was not meant to be. That report isn't even out yet. The NIOSH report. ATF came and did a lot of simulation work for that, so it'll be interesting. I have my things with NIOSH reports. I think that everyone should study them. I think there's a couple things involved with them. So the first thing I would say is that sometimes you got to be a little wary of the recommendations. Some of the recommendations, for instance, we had firefighter John Kroom and Lieutenant Chip McCarthy killed in 2009. And one of the things that they talked about in the recommendations was, there should be clear and concise procedures for operating in vacant buildings. And we got a guy out of a second floor apartment. What I'm getting at is like, you missed that. We got a guy out of the second floor that wasn't a vacant building. Whether it was or not, it almost doesn't matter. But my point is that I think a lot of times the recommendations are based off NFPA standards. And if there's not a standard for something, then there's no recommendation. I've seen fires where you're reading the narrative and it talks about 800 feet of 1.5-inch hose. And it's like, I always kid, what comes out of that? Dust? You know what I mean? That's pretty amazing. But there's no standard in NFPA that says your pre-connect shouldn't be more than X, Y, or Z. So consequently, no recommendation. But it almost seems like there's always the ICS communications, so on and so forth in each one. And I'm sure they're all an issue, don't get me wrong. But I'd like to know really what happened. You know what I mean? I'd like to really know what happened. And unfortunately, it's tough. And I'm not even saying necessarily it's always NIST or anything's fault. But like one of the things that'll happen is I did work, I told you, trying to figure out stuff about basement fires.
Right.
And that's an impossible thing to truly, almost everything I have is anecdotal. I go teach a class and they go, oh, we had a guy in 1997 fell into a basement and died. But if you go to the U.S. Fire Administration or anything like that to try and get information, they'll say, oh, the guy died from carbon monoxide poisoning. I go, well, I'm sure medically that's what happened. Not that I don't care about that, but I'm trying to find out what happened.
What happened? What
were
the circumstances?
Yeah, right. There is no what happened. There's what killed him. And sometimes that is important. Right. But for our edification moving forward, it's important for us also to know what they're doing. And they have tried to get better. And I'm sure it's one of the hardest things in the world to do very well, But that's the only thing I would just say as far as the narrative. Always read the narrative and really tear it apart. See what really happened, because it can be very helpful. But all I'm getting at is sometimes the recommendations don't really jive or match up with the narrative completely.
And do you think it's just the hindsight mixed with the, I don't want to say agenda, but trying to make the standards match the narrative or the?
I don't know. I would hope not, but I don't know. Okay. And it would be scary to think that is possibly some of the factor of what's going on during that, because it does seem to be that kind of thing. Like there's a predetermined, we think this goes wrong at all flames, right? And it doesn't necessarily. And then the only other thing I would say, and I don't want to pick on any generation, because I think that there probably is generations. I'm sure when I came on, people said these young kids, they don't know a fucking thing of what they're doing, and
Right.
blah 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 blah. So I don't think that's anything new. I think it just transfers, you know what I mean, to a next general group of people. But what I would bring up is the other thing I see is with NIOSH reports, and it's not about the NIOSH report, it's around them, is I see guys, oh, what did this guy do wrong? And it's like, well, first of all, let's do the absolute. Maybe the guy really did do something wrong. But you know what he paid for that with? His life.
His life, yeah.
Right? Yeah, maybe they did something wrong, but they died doing it. Have some respect. Now, having said that, a lot of people might think, well, that's young people, blah, blah, blah. So I'll tell you about some young people the other way, I think. Just remarkable. And now it's a while ago now, but still it was pretty new. In August of 2009, we lost two guys, firefighter John Kroom and Lieutenant Chip McCarthy. Fire in a delicatessen, basement collapse. One guy went into it. The other guy was on the rapid intervention, or we call it FAST team, firefighter assistance and search team. And he ran into the building. He heard him. He ran into the building, ended up in the same hole that the lieutenant was in, and they both died. The Washington, D.C., first of all, we didn't have a band at that time, a bagpipe band. And we talked to Washington. They came up and they did the whole funerals, and they were just spectacular. I can never say enough. But the rookie class that was in rookie school in the Washington, D.C. Fire Department that week went to their instructors and said, listen, we'll come in on a Saturday to make up the day, and we've rented a bus, and we want to go to the funeral in Buffalo for these two guys. And I said, I knew guys that wouldn't buy a hamburger, let's pay for the bus, right? When I came on. And a lot of people are like, oh, these young kids, blah, blah. Well, these young kids, which I know they're not young now, they have 14 years on, right? 15 years on. But then they were brand new recruit firefighters. And I couldn't, and they were standing out there, and all they had is pants and a dress shirt. They, of course, didn't have dress uniforms yet.
Right.
And, standing at attention. And nothing impressed me more. I ended up going to their graduation and delivering the keynote address for their class. Great group of people. But I'm just saying that there's certainly hope. There's some real good people still out there.
No, yeah.
It has to be done.
And there's absolutely differences in values and sense of humor. Sense of humor is what gets me the most as I get older. A lot of my jokes just they don't get my jokes.
Absolutely, because it isn't on fucking Instagram,
right?
No, you're 100% right. You know what I like is we're diverging again, but
right.
There's schools near me now. Middle schools and high schools, you walk in the door, the kids, they have this big lockbox. You put your phone in it for the day. Can't have your phone the whole day.
Hey,
there's some parents like, oh, what if there's an emergency? They'll get a call to you. They fucking survive for years without phones of their own. They'll get a call to you. But I think you need it at the firehouse. I like coming to the kitchen. It's all quiet because there's 8 people sitting around the table with their head in their phone. And I'm like, what are you guys talking to each other?
Sitting there snapping each other.
And, I guess I didn't realize how out of touch we are, but we even have newer firehouses with a big bunk room. We don't have room. Do you have a room? Well, you're a chief. You do have a room.
I do.
Does everybody have a room?
Well, they have partitions, but they have one big room, but everybody has a little partitioned off area.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. The other thing too, my daughter spent 20 years in the Buffalo Fire Department. I always told people, for all the, it's for safety of women. The only time there's ever been sexual assault in firehouses is when the woman has her own room.
Oh, wow.
I think that's an interesting statistic.
No
When
doubt. No
there's
doubt.
a big bunk room, those problems don't happen. It's just fart noises and stinky stuff.
Well, yeah, that's called the bonding
Yeah.
of bunk room bonding.
Right. So it's just interesting. It really is. But I do agree with you 100%. That's a great point about the sense of humor thing. It's just different, But so the other fire I'll talk about is the incident was December 29th, 1996. And there was a fire on Inter Park Avenue on the east side. Crews responded. They had a 3-story wood frame, mansard roof, balloon construction, 120-year-old house. Heavy fire on the second floor extending into the attic. So crews go up. They start to knock down the fire. Engine 33's crew moves to the 3rd floor. Firefighter Dan Bedding's right at the top of the stairs feeding line. Firefighter Donnie Herbert has the line and is over by the number 4 or Delta wall. And 2 guys from my place, Mike Seguin and Billy Sanford from Truck 11. You don't have to bow. No. From Truck 11 are operating on the roof, and a collapse occurs. When the collapse occurs, Billy and Mike fall into the attic, and they're banged up, but okay.
Okay.
Now, I have to step back again. I apologize, but banged up, I'm guilty of that too. We don't give ourselves enough credit. What I mean by that is I've even gone on the news as a fire chief and said, we had firefighters injured, but they're in good shape. They're going to be okay. And at that fire, one guy sprained his wrist and the other guy got some burns and from falling through the roof and fell, 9 feet or 10 feet to the attic floor. And we brushed that off like it's nothing. Think of anywhere else in the world, in the workplace, that would be like, yeah, we're all right.
Yeah,
like
10 feet,
really,
10
we
foot
sell
tall.
ourselves short. Imagine the insurance company executive in the high rise in downtown Moore or Oklahoma City, and he sprains his wrist and gets burned. Every party for the rest of his life is going, yeah, let me tell you this time I went to fucking work. I got hurt. I fell through a floor. I got burned. I almost broke my wrist. It was horrible. And we're like, yeah, that's called Tuesday. We're tough. God bless us. We're tough. And God bless guys. They want to get back in the fight and everything else. But in the bigger scheme of things, we don't cry enough to the public. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this collapse occurs. Mike McCarthy, lieutenant of Rescue 1, is right off the stairs. So the collapse occurs. Dan Benning and the staircase he's on collapses into the 2nd floor. So now there's no stairs up to the 3rd floor. Danny has a fractured neck, but they get him out real quick, and he ends up okay down the road. I mean, long recovery. Lieutenant McCarthy, I don't know if you know a mansard, it's 2 hinge like this and hinge like this. It's like a hip all the way around. And the 2 hinge sides went in. And when it did, the only thing that hit Lieutenant McCarthy, Mike McCarthy, was snowflakes. And he was fine. He didn't get touched. It was amazing.
Wow.
Billy and Mike, I told you, came through the roof, and very sadly, a year and a half later, Mike burned to death on the 4th of July at a different fire a couple of blocks away. But over in the corner, Don Herbert, firefighter from Rescue 1, was basically okay, but being crushed down by the roof and was being mechanically asphyxiated. So crews are working. A guy named Joe Victor, who just retired as a battalion chief, but he was a firefighter at the time, he got Donnie's head exposed and he was able to do mouth to mouth while he was still trapped. They got him going real quick. They got him to the front window. Guy from my crew, Tommy Jackson, big monster, strong guy, went up a 35 to the third floor window, put Donnie under his arm, and climbed down the 35-foot ladder. I mean, Tommy's a monster, big, strong guy. They got him down to the ground. They're starting CPR. We're continuing CPR. They get him to the trauma center, which happens to be right around the corner, a couple blocks. So that was very helpful. They get him to the trauma center. And in a very short period of time, very short, Donnie has spontaneous respirations and a decent heartbeat. So it's like, oh, this is good, right?
Yeah.
And but he's unconscious, but not on a ventilator, but unconscious. Well, he stays that way for quite a while. He stays unconscious like that for 9.5 years.
Oh, wow.
So for 9.5 years, he's in this comatose state. And sometimes you'd come. They took him everywhere. He went to Chicago. He went, I think, to Syracuse. He went to Erie, PA. And all these places said, we can fix him. We know how to get him to wake up. We can do it. We can do this. We can do that. They tried and tried and tried. Nothing. That was probably for the first year and a half. Then he ended up at a facility just south of where he lived, Father Baker facility. And, his family and firefighters, family would go and visit him and take him. The rescue used to pick him up and bring him to the firehouse every once in a while and go to birthday parties and so on and so forth. But he was just out of it. And he, like I said, stayed that a long way. So in April of 2005, Donnie is, every day they dress him, put him in his wheelchair, bring him out to the nurse's station where he usually hung out. And someone might come and visit him, some, depending. And this one day they bring him out there and he's there and he raises his head up and pretty clearly says, "Where's my wife? I want Linda to come here." And the nurse is, flabbergasted because this man hasn't spoken since she's worked there. And he's talking to her and he goes, "Where's my wife? I want Linda to come here." So the nurse, does the whole, people, the paramedics know, where, so she asked him, "Where are you?" And he said, "I'm at my mother's house," which he wasn't. And right. She goes, "Well, where's your mother live?" And he goes, 223 Melrose, which was correct. And so she goes, "We'll get your family." So long story short, everybody starts coming. And family, and he had 4 sons. One was in China on a school trip. He was studying abroad. And the U.S. State Department and U.S. Air Force had him home in like 23 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they got him home real fast. So people were coming in, and as people came in, they wouldn't have you say your name. They'd just have you talk. And like my wife and I walked in, and he goes, "Hi, Mike. Hi, Sandy." I mean, he recognized our voices, talking. Couldn't see, but, talking up a mile a minute. And talking and talking and talking. And he's talking to his son, Nick. So Nick's 14 now, right? And he says to him, "You're not Nick. Nick's a little boy." Well, the kid was 4 when it happened.
Right.
So he was a little boy. And he's like, "No, Dad, it's me. And they all were doing the same thing. And it was very, very emotional. And so his uncle, who was a police lieutenant at the time, said, "Donnie, how long do you think you've been out?" He goes, "Oh, a long time." He goes, "What's a long time?" He goes, 3-4 months. And he goes, "No, it's been 10 years, pal." Very sad. Then he goes, "What happened?" He goes, "We were at that fire on Interpark. The roof came in." He knew exactly what happened. It was remarkable. So he talked. Slowly but surely, he talked less. Excuse me. Slowly but surely talked less. And then eventually just didn't talk anymore. Really? And it was about 40 hours. He had fallen. A lot of stuff happened. There's actually a book, The Day Donnie Herbert Woke Up, about it, written by his cousin. But he didn't speak again. And then in February of 2006, Donnie passed away from pneumonia. So we, of course, considered duty death. I know it was 10 years later, but we still considered it absolutely line of duty death. Well, why I always tell that story is that's a little extreme, I understand. But guys should always remember when they're reading that NIOSH report, it represents moms and dads, husbands and wives, kids, other relatives, their firefighter family, you know, and there's a lot of people that love that person. And this is the most devastating loss in the world. So when you're reading that, you know, have that in your mind too, that this one could be any of us at any time, but two could be, you know, how important that is to everybody else. It's not just about the technical side of that incident that happened. That's certainly a big part of it. Anything we can learn from it is absolutely a good thing. But understand that there's a human soul involved in every one of those NIOSH reports. It's a real big deal.
And it's easy to lose sight of when you're just sitting there reading the text, the black and white text on a piece of paper.
It's so technical, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
It is. It's so technical. It really, really, really is a big deal. I talk about those two. There's others. We had one December 27th, 1983, where we had 5 guys killed. That's in Frank Lieb and Billy Goldfeder's book. It's the 30 Fires You Must Know. That's in there. And we had others. Lieutenant Jerry was killed by a wall collapse that we were at. Captain Dillon was overcome on Seneca Street. Captain Duggan was overcome in an attic on Delavan Avenue, or right off Delavan Avenue. So unfortunately, too many. But so it goes. Why I talk about those is they've been a big part of my life as far as pushing me to try and, you know, make it the last one, which I know it's never going to be the last one, but you certainly strive to make it the last one. Wow. And some of that involves some of the training we've done, and it brings me to a big thing. I just did a thing. I put it out on Facebook, just under my name. The NFPA has a committee right now going, and it's on the NFPA 1400 series.
See the whole series, yeah.
Yeah. So what they're going to do is do 1400 will be 1401, 1402, and 1403, and I think some stuff from others, but I know not much. So to go back a little bit, long time ago, NFPA 1403, I think, came out in 1987, 86 or 87. We were doing live burns way before that. We wrote some things way before that. And we started out doing acquired structures in the Western New York area and doing fires in those. And, you know, like anything, we started out not knowing a lot, you know, haven't been going to fires, but that's still not the same thing. But slowly but surely coming up with some procedures and assignments and things that made quite a lot of sense. And we started doing a lot of them. We did a lot around Western New York. We had a band of brothers here doing it. And slowly but surely I ended up running the live burn team at FDIC for, I think it was 6 years, 5 or 6 years. And we did it both in Indy and the West, which was out in Sacramento for a couple of years also. So in live burns, probably did about 350 fire scenarios in live burn or in acquired structures.
Quite a few reps. Now, real quick, sure. was this before 1403 or after?
So 1403 came about while we were doing the FDIC.
Okay.
I tried to get on the committee, and I don't know how you do that. I tried and tried. I wrote letters and stuff like that, but whatever. But we did a lot of them, and we came up with a lot of things that made a lot of sense. Some of the stuff didn't, we learned stuff through doing it also. Some of the things that were a little counterintuitive made a lot of sense after a while. So, for instance, our fuel package was generally, in an acquired structure, was generally 2 pallets, a bale of hay, and a cushion. And some people said, like, so first of all, we looked at the first NFPA 1403 said that known burning characteristics. Well, I know exactly what a cushion will do, so I think it's fine. And that's up to interpretation whether that's okay. Now it's not. The latest edition, you can't use it at all, supposedly. But one of the things we found, so again, let's think about it. We're in an acquired structure, right? We're in a 2.5-story frame, private dwelling, right? And I'm in the bedroom in the back. And I want to get this bedroom going. I'd like to get it to flash over. That's what we strove for. Okay. Get the crews to come in, attack the fire, overhaul it, do the whole thing, right? But I didn't want to burn the building down, right? Until I wanted to burn the building down.
Right.
So one of the things we found, if we did the 2 bales of hay, or the bale of hay and the 2 pallets don't ignite like that. So to get the fire to the ceiling to mushroom out and then come down and flash took a while. So what was happening? Think about it. What was happening? Upstairs was getting heated and heated and heated and heated. So by being safe, you can't use a cushion, you couldn't use a couch, you couldn't use a chair, or that's what people thought. We're more dangerous because we're threatening the floor above, we're threatening the integrity of the room. The cushion brought the fire to the ceiling well, not instantly, but pretty damn close to instantly.
Yeah, compared to the pallets.
Got the pallets going, and we had a nice flashover, and we could go back in that room and do it again in 10 minutes. I mean, it was just remarkably better. But it's just little stuff that you don't get from anything but doing it. So we did this, fixed facilities, whether it's containers to live burn buildings that they build today for $1 million or whatever, the concrete ones, whatever it was, gas fired, the whole thing. I've probably done over 1,500, 1,600 fires in those. I mean, just a dramatic amount. All over the United States, other countries. But there's so many things that I see. So a lot of the built ones, so what's wrong? The stairs are monstrously wide, right? If you look at 14, the stairs are ridiculously wide. There's not stairs that size in any house in America.
Yeah, right? unless it's a commercial structure, you're not seeing them.
The windows are abnormally high. So a guy has a hard time doing VES because the floor is way further down than it would normally be than a normal house. The window, again, is very wide. So getting a victim out a window is something that is not being really taught because it's not the window that they would deal with at that fire they pull up to tomorrow, right? So we've done training at, the military used FDTN a lot. We've been to Japan and Okinawa and a lot of places, but all over the United States. And we'll literally put up boards on their burn building windows for a couple of days so that we can make them roughly the size of a window.
Just to shrink them down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That stuff's important. And I, for the life of me, can't understand why people can't understand that we need to train like we're going to. It'd be the equivalent of you're in the Army and you fire an M16 rifle, that's what you carry into battle. But you know what? For training, we're going to give you an M14.
Right.
I'm never going to carry this again. No, I know, but it'll be like that. Not really the same, but like that.
It'll have a barrel and a trigger, but
Yeah, and the M14 is a much heavier weapon, but that's okay. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, right? It just doesn't make sense. So then there's other things. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just want to say, do you think that's like, what's the root cause of it? Is it just the people who sign the checks have they don't have the 1,600 burns under their belt?
I think, I don't care. I mean, I'll get in trouble again. I think part of the issue with the NFPA system, and they come up with some very good standards on a lot of stuff. I got to be honest with you. I'd much rather they concentrate on fire building stuff than they do on the Moore, Oklahoma Fire Department response, because nobody's paying attention to all of them anyway. I get fire chiefs all the time telling me, oh, you use I remember being out in California. We were going to burn a commercial building, and it was a huge place that was not old. It was 20 years old. It was like, holy crap, they're going to burn this, But we had 2 pallets, some hay, and a couple of cushions. And the fire chief of the department is there. He goes, oh, chief, is it okay to use cushions? I go, well, it's a known burning characteristic. We're confident with it. We don't have, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. I go, why is that? He goes, well, NFPA 1403, I don't know if that's really the interpretation that I'd use. I go, do you follow all the NFPA's standards? They go, oh, chief's like, absolutely, we do to a fault. We try to. I go, oh, good for you. I go, how many guys are on the engine? He goes, 3. I go, what's
3? Yeah.
He goes, 2. I go, so those ones, the fucking other ones don't fucking matter at all, right, chief? I'm going to have to go back to my office now. And they usually leave, right? But I do think part of it, and this is where I'll get in trouble, is simply that it's a committee. I mean, you're talking to a megalomaniac narcissist, so it's hard for me, but it's a committee. How did it go? Camel is a horse designed
built by a committee, right?
So I think that what happens is it's not so much even an experience level. It's that Corley went to these fires and did a great job, and he found, this, and this. And Mike went here and found this, and this important. And Sam went to these and found this important, and so on down the line. And instead of saying, one of the things I always told our truck committees when I was the fire chief, we had truck committees for engine, for truck, whatever. In conjunction with the union, we had a pretty decent operation going. But one of the things I told the committee is I go, when things conflict, someone has to make a decision, and that'll probably be me. But what I'm getting at is that, everybody always looks, so Corey, do you have a ladder truck and more?
Well, we have Quints, and we call it a truck, but it's a Quint.
Well, you have a Quint or more than one.
Yes,
so
we have 2.
A new one. You have a new one. You're coming, or not even coming yet, but you're going to put a committee together, right?
Okay.
And you're on it, and as the chief and the head of the committee, and then you have pick a number, 7 guys. I don't know.
Okay.
So, but the thing is, everybody has this idea that Bill has an idea that's a good idea. And Tom has an idea. And I can't think of one right now, but at the end of the aerial device, we're going to have a light here or whatever. And
right.
But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
What I think happens is I think a lot of guys think, well, one of them is stupid, so it's an easy decision. No, everybody forgets that sometimes both of them are excellent ideas. They just can't exist together. It's impossible. So someone has to finally go, we're going to do this, right?
Yes, the decision.
Someone's got to make a decision. And I think the problem I see, and I could be all wrong, I've never been on one, with the NFPA committees is that instead of getting rid of anything, they bring in everything.
All the considerations go in. Consideration. Yeah.
Right. But the other thing is, the other thing I'll go into is I do get upset um, you can still see me, right, Sam?
Yes.
Okay. I do get upset because we don't have, there are things in the standard, and I just want to make sure I have it right. There's things in the standard that are just contradictory to anything. So I will give you some of the things we did. We did a lot of different stuff. So, everything from prepping the building, we looked for, different dangers, like what kind of siding is on the place, what's obvious, where there are their exposures, so on and so forth. But we also did, who do we have coming tomorrow, right? We're getting ready tonight. Who do we have coming tomorrow? Do we have brand new guys? Do we have crews coming? Built up crews of regular engine companies. Do we have people nobody's ever known? You know what I'm getting at? All these
No,
things.
absolutely. The level of experience, the level of competency. Yeah.
And have they worked together and so
Sure.
on, right? But there's other things too. So when we had a reasonable amount, like at the FDIC, we had 24 students, and it was engine, truck, first do engine, first do truck, second do engine, second do truck, or engine, tack, backup, right? Search and roof. And then there was a RIT team, and then there was a team rotating out. You know what I mean? They were
going for a break. Yeah, take a blow.
So those guys rotated in there, and we did 6 fires every morning and 6 fires every afternoon.
Wow.
So the reason I bring all that up is we did certain things. It may seem anal, actually, a little, but we did things like we said the same words. So we're getting ready to light a fire. We have the sets set up, right? 2 pallets, bale of hay, and a cushion, ready to go. We call engine 1 okay, or attack okay. And we did that on what those departments use. Attack okay. Okay, backup okay. Okay. First truck, inside truck okay, outside truck okay. RIT team okay, right? And we got that back. So that team had 4 firefighters, or an officer and 3, and 1 of us. So when someone dropped the line going into the fires, the nozzle, our guy picked up the nozzle and put the fire.
Gotcha.
And I got to tell you, over 30 years, that didn't happen just once.
Okay.
We had some of the craziest, funniest things. And I will step back for a second. We did a lot of live burns. And in all those years, we had a guy with a twisted ankle. And we had a guy who had a piece of drywall fall and hurt his back. Nothing bad. Gouged into his back a little bit. That was it. Thousands and thousands of firefighters later. We did pretty well. And we had, so we did that, right? We did, engine okay, truck okay, so on and so forth. Then our next thing, and every one of those had an instructor. Then our next thing was, we're all set, we're lighting. Now we had some crazy things. And this is what I'm getting at about, doing this training. You have to be ready for that a little bit. You have to be ready for the things to go wrong with that. I had a guy actually tell me, when we lit the fire, he starts in with the nozzle. It's black to the floor. He's going down the hallway. All of a sudden, our instructor goes, hey, Corley. It wasn't Corley, but hey, Tom, where are you? Tom, where are you? Guy left. And he literally, so our instructor picked up the line, put the fire out. And the instructor came back out, and he goes, what happened? He goes, well, when you said it'd be like a real fire, I didn't know you meant it'd be like a real fire.
Like a real fire.
And it was pretty funny, right? It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it was crazy. I mean, he was perfectly serious. I didn't know you meant it'd be a real fire. Yeah, that's what it is. And I used to tell people, we'd have a little briefing in the morning. I said, the difference between this and any of other fire you go to is we know what time it's going to start. But
Right.
it can kill you, it can hurt you, it can burn down half the town, whatever. So our next thing was we're lighting. We had already checked with every crew. Are you ready? Yes, we're ready. I'll give you another one. We're in the Southwest, and we're doing a hospital, fire in a hospital.
Oh,
I burned well, not that old hospital, but they're getting rid of it. And we do that in the first fire. Our safety line puts the fire out because their first due engine said, well, when you said, are you guys ready? We didn't know you wanted us to be ready.
you didn't mean actually ready.
Yeah, we didn't know that. And the truck's coming in, the second engine comes in, they got a piece of the fire, but our safety line put the fire out. But
Wow.
it's just, but all I'm getting at is, and in most it was fine, but we did have issues. We had another one, crews first fire. We're all ready. We got attack line, backup line. Backup line's important. You know, if they didn't have enough guys, we still had a backup line. The truck was shorted. Right? We had an engine with a attack line, an engine with a backup line, but those were students, each
Right.
with an instructor, but a student.
Right.
Backup was part of the operation, right? The firefighting drill operation. Backup is part of that. Attack, backup, inside truck, outside truck, or if you're short of that, split the truck, whatever.
Split the truck inside,
But
outside.
attack, backup, inside truck, outside truck, RIT, and then if we have enough people, someone's rotating through rehab. But we do this, and the first line comes in, line's ready. Guy goes to test the nozzle. He opens the line, and literally a squirt comes out. He shuts it down. They get to the fire, opens it up, and he's done. No water comes out. Line's rigid. There's no kink. There's no line blown up. So the craziest thing I ever saw.
Something blocking it, or yeah.
Oh yeah. So they've got new hose last week, and it's rolled, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And in the interior, where the male coupling is of the roll, they have a piece of sponge, like harder sponge, right inside the hose to protect it from the hard bend in shipment.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't get that permanent kink on the right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So no one looked.
They shoved it right through.
They opened the line up, and that initial spurt was just what got in ahead. That was it. Nothing came out. So
Wow.
anything can happen, but you got to be ready for that.
Right.
You got to be ready for that, doing that. So another time where the safety line. So the other line I will tell you about is, so we don't call it a backup line, we call it a safety line. And we consider it to be a very different thing. Very, very different thing. Safety line is staffed by 2 of our instructors.
Okay.
And at the FDIC years, the last 3 years, my daughter came out. She spent 20 years in Buffalo, and she was on the safety line because I knew. I used to tell her, I go, if you get killed, it's better than if anybody else gets killed. but you know, that was an important job. Real important job. At FDTN, every fire we have, there's a safety line. And it's in position that the last thing you as a student go by is the safety line before you go in the fire. The absolute last thing. If we're doing it well, you don't even know we're there. You don't even, routinely people come by and I go, boo, and scare the shit out of them. But they have no idea I'm even there. But the safety line's there with 2 instructors, safety instructors. And that's a big deal. And that's the biggest beef I have with the NFPA on this. They've never had it before. Oh, that's the backup line. Do you know in 1403 where the backup line can be?
No, I'm not. No.
On the floor below of a multi-floor building or outside the building?
Oh,
Well,
wow.
then it's not a safety line. It's a fucking line that you hope you can get back in when guys are dying. And listen, we've had a lot of firefighter deaths in training fires, right? I mean, there's been all over the country different things. Many people know about them. And my argument has always been that I bet you if I had a safety line where we place it, no one would die. And, none of these were catastrophic collapses that
Right.
trapped or killed them. It was almost always fire envelopment.
Fire events, right?
And if I'm sitting across from the bedroom we light on fire in the other bedroom, that we brought the line over the front porch because we're on the second floor and we're hiding in that bedroom. If things go completely wrong, there's a sponge in the hose line, the fire truck takes a shit, whatever, we can apply the 40 or 50 gallons because they take nothing to put out, even flashed over. It's a room. They take nothing to put out. We can put that fire out with minimal amount of water very safely, and none's the wiser.
Very
And we
quickly,
had
yeah.
to at times. I gave you a couple of instances. We've had to at times put the fire out, right? But all I'm getting at is that is critical. In that thing I wrote, I talk about where is it? I had talked about words matter. Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up. So one of the things that I see today, we have a proliferation of ticks, and I see it manifest itself at live fire training. I get 3 guys in a room, all with cameras, all looking at cameras, right?
Right.
Like, go search. Then the other thing, I do it all the time now. I ask guys, how hot is it in there? And they go, 563 degrees. Do you give a fuck? What I always tell people, oh, you know what it is in there? Hot.
Hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what is it? Does it matter if it's 563 degrees or 714 degrees? No. I mean, no.
At that point, no.
No. It's hot. And go put the fire out. And I mean, like that safety line, like at FDTM, we've perfected it pretty well. We have a live fire training class now on how to do one, how to set up things, how to do a burn barrel, how to have crews, how to identify crews, how to keep control of crews. There's guys, 2 groups of 4, 2 groups of 3 come together. They're lost. They can't find each other. They are completely befuddled. And as an instructor, you have to be able to keep control of that. That's a big, big deal. So we do that. They come up to me if I have the safety line. If they come up to me with the safety line, I always go, it's engine 5. I got this room, but there's still people, I think, down the hall calling for help. Okay. And I go, was any instructors up there? They go, no, we met a guy from engine 5. I go, there are 5 engines here? No.
Right.
Like, one of the things, like the fixed facilities, I said some of the things. I don't know if you have one, and if I hurt people's feelings, I apologize. But almost all the ones I see, especially the more high-end ones, have thermocouples in them. Have you ever seen that? Right? And almost a solid 60, probably more like 75% that I've ever been to, they go, oh, those haven't worked for years. And I go, really? No, they don't fucking work.
Right.
And I just find it amazing. And again, I go back to, it's hot though, right? It's like technology today. I know we try and strive for everything. And, it's a expandable platform. Like the SCBA cameras, have you seen them?
In the mask, the little situational awareness type.
That is the one in the mask, and MSA has the one with on the end of your gauge.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah. And it's like, I'd like my SCBA to give me air and let me know when I'm low on air. And other than that, let's get rid of 9 or 10 batteries. Let's make the fucking thing lighter. You know, like I said, I started here doing this 47 years ago. And Scott 4.5s were brand new, just invented. And I thought, these are, because you remember what was before the 2As? They weighed a ton. And I thought, man, when I retire, it'll be a little thing like Star Trek. You put in your mouth and you'll be able to breathe. Who knew?
We just got bigger and heavier.
47 fucking years later, they're heavier than they were when I got on. It's insanity. I mean, truly insanity. They make a 75-minute bottle. So what kills most of us?
Exertion.
Medical, right?
Yeah.
Right? So let's have you work longer and carry more weight. That's an absolute recipe for success, right? I mean,
catching your sarcasm.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be perfect, right? That'd be like, I know you're a swimmer, but here, take these 2 bricks with you.
Right.
You'd be able to build a building and stand on the bricks and get out of the water. How about I just don't take the bricks and I can float on the water? I mean, it's just, we get ridiculous. You know, one of the things that's going on now, I don't know if it is in Oklahoma, but some places, it's a big push against OSB.
Yeah.
For training.
Yes, for burns.
Carcinogens. Now, I am sure, I don't doubt a bit that OSB puts off carcinogens. I just think so does pressure-treated 2x4s, drywall, paint, carpet, linoleum, wallpaper, couches, television sets, refrigerators, TVs, computers, and the list could go fucking on and on, that all also give off carcinogens. So if that's the case, we don't have a OSB problem. We have a fucking gear problem. That if we're getting carcinogens going through our gear, then design our gear to not do that, or at least limit it. And they are trying that. The hoods now, particulate hoods. But my point is that we're focused on, you know, it's like focusing on drunk drivers, that the car is the problem, right? That's not probably the case. It's the guy drinking, you know. But we just have to do a little bit better. But like I say, the last thing, and I'm going to reiterate it a couple times, the last thing a student should go by before they get to the fire room of a live burn training is an instructor staffed safety line. Absolutely. And my understanding, I'm not sure, but I think it's not changing for the 1400 standard. They still call it a backup line. It can still be outside or on the floor below.
Now real quick, is 1400? Is it done? Is it still in consider? I didn't look and see what stage it is at. Is it still taking?
It's not done. I don't know when comment period's going to open.
Okay. Just so we can make comments, like we can get the audience to chime in and make comments. It hasn't closed that part yet.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But
I went and looked.
So what do I know?
Right.
But, like I said, I tried to get on the first one and to no avail. But and this one I am retired, so I'd have to have some other kind of focus to be able to do that.
Well, you are putting it out. I mean, you're putting it out there, and then hopefully when they open the comment section, we can go in there and make comments and have an impact on the final version. Now, before we go, I want to get some questions coming at you from the audience. I like to involve the audience. Sure. This is a nice broad soft toss right out the gate, and it's Marcus Roos, and he says, "Can you pass on a word of wisdom for someone who wants to promote to an officer?" So very soft toss. You can go whatever direction you want.
So the things that I find important in an officer, whether I was a chief or whether I was a fireman, looking at the officer or myself as one, is knowing your job. You know, you want to promote and you want to do it. Don't worry so much about what you think that they're looking for and so on and so forth, as much as knowing your job. You know, I have people tell me, well, I delegate that. I'm a company officer. I have to know what every guy in my crew does for a number of reasons. One, to know if they're doing it right. If I don't know what they're doing, or how to do it, I don't know if they're doing it right. Two, every now and then something weird happens. They get hurt, they fall down, they can't continue for whatever the reason. Things have to get done. I have to know that, right? But three, that falls into, I'm not going to ask anybody to do something I wouldn't do. I do everything they do, right? Training wise, I was captain of the rescue, so we did surface rescue for water, and we'd go down to Erie Basin Marina. It's summer day, beautiful, thousands of people hanging out at lunchtime, and I'd get off the rig and go, "We got a water rescue drill." They go, "Oh, when?" I go, "Now." And I'd go and I'd jump off the pier, right? And I'd flounder around. And they'd have to come out, get the suits on, get me brought in. There's a bulkhead at the end. They'd have to get me up. I'd go to the apartment building and, take my clothes off down to my underwear and get in the bathtub 6 floors up, get the aerial up, get me out, right? Try not to drop me. It's a long way down. But I have to do the drill too sometimes, right? When I had a guy on a list, I would always have him sit in the front seat for a while, right? And I'd sit in the back seat, and I'd be on his team when we went in to do a drill, right? You
Nice.
lead me, I'll do what you tell me, but I'm new. So tell me what to do, right? Because you're going to be doing that in no time at all. Because you'd get on a list, and in a short time, you'd be promoted, or could be, right?
Right.
But if you want to be an officer, know your job, know the other jobs, and just do it. Don't ask people to do things you wouldn't do.
Boom. There you go. Beautiful question. Thank you, Marcus, for the question. And thank you, Chief, for the answer. This one's coming from someone named Random Chatter in the chat, but his name is Random Chatter. He said, Chief, do you think the fire service turning to more technology is good or bad skill wise? Do we rely on technology over learning and being really good at the skills, or can they coexist?
So I think they can coexist. I'm not an anti-technology guy, but like the thermal imager, it shows me where I don't have to concentrate so much. It, that's an example of technology. I'll use it specifically. It doesn't see through anything, other than, smoke, but it doesn't see through any object. So I see people get in trouble all the time by that. There was a fire I did an investigation for where a man died in a furniture store, and a crew said, it was so hot in there, everything whited out. I go, show me exactly where you were. They showed me, and they said, yeah, the camera, everything whited out. And this is a tough thing. They were heartbroken. They were upset. They ended up kneeling or crouching behind a couch. They didn't realize it. It was 2 feet in front of them. The camera didn't white out. They were looking at the back of a couch.
Back of a couch.
Didn't change, right?
Right.
And all I'm getting at, it goes back to the 3 guys with the cameras in the room all looking. 1 guy with the camera. And I can tell you, Corley, I can see up to the bed. You're clear up to the bed, but I can't see past it. Right? You know what I mean? And now I'm helping you do some, but you still got to get the other side of the bed. So technology that way is a big deal. The other thing is the technology of some of the dispatch / size up software can be very helpful. Going from, I know where those streets are, to on the way I can look and see what the building is. That's amazing.
No, it really is.
That's amazing. However, what I get upset at is make sure it works for you, meaning the fire department. So a lot of places I see, well, you got to go down the line and you got to type in the address. Listen, I'm going down a road on a fucking street that has speed bumps in Buffalo.
Potholes, right?
No. They put in speed bumps all over the city for drug activity and for the motorcycle kids. and the four-wheeler kids.
Okay.
But you're going down on the street in a fire truck bouncing like crazy. You want me to type in a keyboard the address? You didn't help me a bit. You know what I mean?
No,
It should
absolutely.
come to you. Should come to you. Those are little things, but it should come to you. You know, so I think that technology can evolve and can help us. So there's a lot of stuff too, and you may remember, but going way, way back, I remember Moog Valve had a radio controlled hydrant valve in the 60s or 70s.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You hooked up to the hydrant, then the guy ran to the rig, and the pump operator could press a button and the valve opened electronically. It's gone. No one ever must have bought it, but it's
Right.
50 years ago. 50
Wow.
years ago. I always said, what do you got on a Quint? 6 or 7 guys?
On
Or
our,
8?
well, we cross staff, but there's 5. Yeah, I wish.
How many?
No, we have our staffing is 5. 4 is the minimum.
Oh, good.
We're very blessed. Very blessed.
Doing okay.
Yes.
You're doing okay. Seriously, that's amazing. I was being a little facetious because a lot.
No, when you said 8, I started to feel bad because I'm like, no, we don't. We only have 4. But I was like, but
one of the things that I get upset. So, you familiar with the Mayday Project?
absolutely.
Don Abbott.
Don Abbott. Yes. Yeah. Now Basil's take. Yes.
Yeah. The first Mayday Project, 71% of Maydays occurred when the company officer went into the occurred when they stayed outside the building while his crew went in.
Oh, 70%?
71%
71%.
occurred where the company officer stayed outside to be the incident commander. And I always said, you're the only ones there. There's 4 of you. You know what I mean? Who are you commanding? Go with your crew, right? Go with your crew. And, there's a lot of small departments. 5, 6, 7 guys are it. And I always said, really? And
absolutely.
I always said, every guy you lose, it's got to matter. Well, this guy's outside. This guy's outside. Why can't the pump operator in this day and age be the incident commander? I mean, I know people think, what are you, crazy? But seriously, it's a preset button now, right?
Yeah.
They can't make it more, right? Boop, boop. That's done. Now I sit outside, and you get good pump operators. They're throwing ladders. They're doing a lot of stuff.
They're proactive. Yeah.
God bless them. But I'm just saying, that's command. They are already outside. If you have a top mount pump, they have a better view than anybody outside.
That's true. That is a fact.
It really is. But, we can't be in a position where we're losing the company officer, the pump operator. Now there's a guy with 7 months going in the building with the line. I mean, it's crazy. It really, really is.
No,
it does matter.
I did not know that stat from the Mayday Project. That is eye-opening.
It changed the next time because the amount of Maydays changed. But that was and I think also people were upset about that because there's a lot of places, that guy's out in front.
Oh yeah. That's it's on our SOPs. Our current SOPs is that the first in officer is the command, and he's supposed to set up a stationary command outside.
So what's his crew do?
Now you go to work, and yeah, you're right. It's actually taking people away. So
I just think that also, what if it's the newest crew in the city, right? The officer's the only guy with any experience.
Hey, and I'm telling you, with our turnover, not turnover, but because we don't have a high turnover rate, but with our retirements, we have a very, very young department over the last 5 years. Very young. We have some very young crews. Yes.
So it's Buffalo. Yeah. And that's a factor. That's a factor.
Oh, it's a huge factor. And especially with the fires being down, like the number of fires, fire fatalities are up, but fires are down, but they don't get the same experience that they used to get, in the same time frame.
Well, I always said I think I told you the last time, we used to always cheat. People say, what do you mean? I go, guys go, I'll go to an event and guys will go, it's a pleasure to meet you. I never worked for you. I wasn't hired by them, but you guys were amazing. You were going to 3, 4, 5 fires a night. And that was true. We did. They go, you guys did a phenomenal job. I go, well, don't tell anybody. But, when we went to 3 fires a night, the first fire was all fucked up. The second one was better. And then we were great by the third one.
Third one, we had it down to a science.
But the difference was we got to get better the same night, not 4 months later.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Seriously.
No, absolutely. Absolutely,
it's
man.
hard to train a guy on something that they never do.
Well, and it goes right back to what you said earlier, the M14 and the M16, because even when they train, they're still not training with what they're going to face.
Well,
and so,
that goes back to my argument about the live fire training. There's places where they do virtually none, even for recruits. And I think that's really, really, really troublesome. Even for recruits, they do very little training. And maybe duty crews do it hardly ever. You know what I mean? If at all. And it's tough. We're the only team in town that doesn't practice. The hockey team, the football team, the basketball team, they all practice. We just figure we fucking know it.
Yeah. They practice like 5 to 1, or 3 to 1, depending on their schedule. 3 practices for every game or 4 practices for every game.
Absolutely.
And we do, I don't know what, I mean, I'm not saying we as in my department. I'm very proud of our training regimen, but the American Fire Service as a whole, we just say, yeah, we'll handle it when we get there.
Very much so. And the busier we get, so I'll go back to the fire chief for a minute. The other part is, can you train? So more and more and more and more, you see crazy numbers from the perspective of runs, right? And places that never used to do a lot are doing a lot, even if they're not going to fires. They're, Maplewood, New Jersey, I think the first 2 engine did over 5,000 runs. Maplewood, New Jersey. There's companies in San Francisco breaking 10,000 runs. Mostly
single companies or
single companies.
Wow.
Breaking 10,000 runs. Mostly EMS. That's draining. And you are doing no training. It ain't your fault. But you're doing no training. Because when could you?
No, absolutely. 10,000 runs. You'd be lucky to catch a cat nap. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be lucky to eat.
You're not getting sleep. You'd just be lucky to catch a cat nap.
Right.
Let alone a snack, a Snickers bar.
But so is there a Moore police department? You have a police department?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So do you think they go, hey, Sergeant Moore, today grab 4 or 5 of your guys and pretend the bank down the street's being robbed and do a drill? They'd look at you like you're fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
They come in on overtime.
Yes.
They, whatever it is, or they have a half a day or a day each month set aside that they're not on the street and other guys are on the street and they do training. We're the only ones that like, well, you're not doing anything else. You can train. And that's fire chief's fault. Do you know what I'm getting at?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other part of it is the creep. It's like it's not just mission creep, which I think is an actual, loss of focus on our mission, but that's a separate discussion. It's also the duty creep. It's like, well, you guys can do, it's only this, you guys can do this, or, hey, it's only this, you can do this. And it's just little things at a time until it's death by 1,000 cuts.
And you know what happens too, Corley, is, and you see the department, well, they're going to do baby seat, what do you call that?
The installation. Yeah.
Installation, right? And it's like, who the fuck's thought this is a good idea? I mean, I don't mean to be an asshole. I don't want a baby to die, but it's the typical fire department. Sure, we'll do that. We can do that.
We can do it.
On our off times. So when you're doing the baby seat installation, the call comes in. Do you go or do you skip it, or does someone else go, or you know what I mean? And it's like, what else can we take on? You know what I
No,
mean?
and here's the crazy part on the because you use the car seat analogy, and this is the crazy part, which kind of ties back into what we're talking about. To actually keep that certification took like 40 hours of recertification training each year, and to be a firefighter, there is no recertification training whatsoever, and it's just crazy.
Exactly.
The
I
difference.
always use that about bloodborne pathogens. In New York State, it's a law, not a rule, not a department thing, not a Department of Labor thing. It's a New York State law that every year you have bloodborne pathogen training. Now, I can't imagine that, like Corley, your training was 2 weeks ago, a year ago, right? You're
Right.
2 weeks late. Now, if you go take a shit, I can't imagine you'll shit all over yourself because you forgot, right?
Forgot.
You'll
Yeah, I forgot
still
how.
know how to take care of yourself, right? And that's what we end up with. But I always say, who stretches the line every year? I mean,
No,
everyone's like, well, of course everyone does. Do they? I don't know. I'm serious. You
no,
don't
no.
have,
It's a valid because I think they think that they train. You know what I'm saying? They
yeah,
they have a
absolutely.
perception. They have a perception that they do.
We're
But when is the
training
last?
all the time. And
Right.
then the other thing, and my wife always tells me this, she's much smarter than me. She goes, you guys are too. And it's very, very true. She goes, you guys are like fucking goldfish, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
ooh, bright shiny thing. Ooh, bright shiny thing. Ooh, bright shiny thing. And whatever the new bright shiny thing is, we do. You know, you must know the guy who's the high angle underwater bomb squad technician,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I
Without a
mean,
doubt.
they do everything,
Everything.
right? Well, you can't be good at all of it. You
No.
just can't. And somebody's got to be good at putting fires out. And
No.
I
That's what. No,
still
you're
go
good.
back. We talked about it last time about the EMS. I still go back. A lot of people can do a lot of things at a lot of types of incidents, but really we're the only ones that go to fires.
Yeah.
So we do have to at least keep some. I mean, Keokuk was that a little bit. This is not picking on them at all. They had a bad car accident right before the fire. So they had lost a couple guys on the ambulance going to, but I see places all the time. They're small to begin with. They have like 9 guys on duty, and there's 3 ambulances out, and 6 of them are at hospitals.
No, I was
And
just in a yeah. No, no, and they're taking a transport, and I was teaching at an island, and they said, yeah, when we have an EMS call where it has to transport to the city across the bridge, he goes, if a fire drops, our second due is like 28 minutes or something, and they
absolutely, it's
and they're yeah.
it's such a big deal. It's such a big deal. And one of the things that's happening is, I remember as a kid, 90% of all fire departments in the United States are volunteer. Well, that has changed. That has changed. And a lot of places, the volunteers are having a tough time. I
Right.
know where I live, some of the areas near me have a horrific time. They tone them out 2 and 3 times for something. And everyone, though, the answer immediately is, we're going to have to go to career fire. And the problem I see with that is that they end up being those departments. They're an ambulance squad with a fire truck.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the volunteers used to be trouble. They couldn't get guys, right? But this is you're got a career department, but they staff it with nobody. They
Right.
staff it with 3 guys and 2 go out on the ambulance. The guys there alone.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. I have my suspicions, but who knows? But I don't
Right.
know what the answer is. I really mean it, and I think it's a real big deal. I look. You talk about being vigilant, right? Firehouse vigilance. You talk about,
Always. Yes.
and it's a big deal, right? Being ready. And I always lived by focus was my word. Basically the same thing.
Right
Focus on
on.
the next run. When I was a firefighter, I focused on the next run. I did that when I came into the firehouse, my boots were at the rig where I was going to sit. My coat was hanging. There was no hood. My SCBA I took it out of the compartment because we didn't have them in seats, but I'd bungee cord it to the engine compartment on the pumper so I could throw it on and be faster.
Right.
Right. I mean, today that'd be like, oh, but
It's blowing minds.
yeah. The whole thing. And it sounds simple and stupid, but my helmet and gloves were always in the exact same place. Like I didn't put
Right.
it here this time, there, that time, there, that time. Right. And I was just focused. Right. And I tell people even to this day, I'd be driving down the street to work and I'd do, like when I became a lieutenant, size ups in my head. I'd look at it, okay, it's a 3-story wood frame, multiple dwelling, fire on the second floor, heavy extending the third, going in with 1 3/4, we got a hydrant. And I just practice, and it was my way of focusing as a company officer. And it was a little different. I did those same things. My gear was all ready. But when I was a fireman, I wasn't that concerned with the beyond me because, right?
Yeah.
As I became a company officer and I became a battalion chief, I made sure my guys and we went out training. Like we worked 2 days, 2 nights, and off 4. Every tour, I saw my companies. And I know battalion chiefs that don't see them for a week and a half, 2 weeks. I think that's terrible. I saw them every day. How you doing, guys? What's going on? Right. And then even as the fire chief, like people go, well, you didn't go on the run. I go, no, I didn't go on runs. I went to multiples, but that was it. But I did still have, my focus was on the next run. I keep doing this. I keep looking the wrong direction. My focus was the next run. And I think that's important because that's how I did the budget. Like I didn't buy a gas chromatograph mass spectrometer when we didn't have chainsaws on the ladder trucks. Right? No, I'm focused on the next run. I got to prioritize. I'm in the second poorest city in America. I got to make sure we have what we need to operate. We got every bit of, beg, borrow, and steal money from any grant we can find. Right? And you got to go out there and look. It's amazing. It's not easy, but you can do the AFG. We had computers on the rigs. I always wanted computers on the rigs to tell you where you're going and so on and so forth. And we got them from the New York State Archives and the New York State Archives. The New York State Archives chronicles the history of the state of New York and all the municipalities in it. And I was at a dinner in Albany and I talked to this woman and she goes, yeah, that's what we do to maintain the history of a place like Buffalo. I go, well, Buffalo Fire Department has a great history. She goes, oh, I bet it does. I go, and the best way for us to do that would be to start out now. She goes, yeah. And I go, and to help us do that is to capture what we do by having computers on the rigs. We ended up getting a multi-million-dollar grant from them and put computers on every rig. You're going on a response, you have the address. But like even that, I have, I've seen other places print out, whether on the rig, the screen, or in the firehouse, the tear sheet.
Yeah, the rip sheet.
Right. And I remember this one place I'm showing, the address was 14 lines down. It was all this computer mumbo jumbo. And I'm like, that's not making it work for you. You got to be on the committee to design that because it's got to be in your fire truck. So ours was like the letters for, the street, like 123 Rose Street was this big.
Oh, wow.
Nice. The 2 cross streets. And then the company's going with you. And then the hydrant.
But I just like the big letters just because of my eyesight as I get older.
I'm fucking old.
Yeah.
I'm going down the street on a fire truck at 2:00 in the morning. Right? If I tried to put glasses on, I'd poke an eyeball out, But yeah, that stuff, little shit matters. Little shit matters. Don't make it harder for me. I go, what's this? They go, well, that's the computer code for the AVL that it came from. I go, does it give me the address? No, it gives you a code. I go, then take that off there. We don't need that. The dispatcher does. Don't muddle the issue, But
I love that. Focus.
That's focusing on the next run. And you got to do that. Where do I need people? So I wasn't successful in everything. We pushed for a safety chief, safety/special ops chief. On every shift, one on every shift. And I'm very happy. I didn't make it. There were 2 guys after me that didn't get it, but we all tried. but they started, I think it was the 1st of October.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. And will that stop everything? Of course not. But it's just one more set of trained eyes. I work with a guy teaching, Dave Franklin from San Francisco. He always goes, "No, when I'm calling into the building, I want to talk to a chief. I don't need to talk to them." And there's something to be said for that. He knows what I'm thinking. I know what he's thinking. So I'll call him, or her. But
And it goes to that saying of sometimes you plant the tree, even though you'll never sit under the shade of that tree. It's just the effort from the
yeah,
multiple, and finally bearing fruit.
yep, a long push over a long time, but finally they got it. So it's a good thing. Really.
All right, I'm fighting internet issues. Sam has told me that my internet is hiccuping, and so I am going to move us to wrapping up. Not because I'm not enjoying the conversation, but I don't want it to crap out, and so I'm going to race against my internet speed. So what I'm going to do is ask you if there are book or books that you think firefighters should be reading. I love asking this question. I know I've asked you before, but I still want to hear what you think firefighters should read.
So let me. So I think I talked to you about Bill Clark and Emmanuel Freed last time. Those books, Bill Clark's was Firefighting Principles and Practices. And
the blue book.
Yep. And Emmanuel Freed was a red book, and it was Fireground Tactics.
Which I think that one's a little harder to get a hold of.
Yes, I think it is. And I'm going to give you one more.
Okay.
It's one of my guys I'd put on the Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
It's James Braidwood. It's a little older. It was written in 1832 or 1836, and he started out in God's honest truth. Started out in Scotland, and he ended up as the chief of the London Fire Brigade. But he really, to me, is the father of the fire service. He talked about in the 1800s staying low, having certain people able to do certain jobs. And the book is like the design of apparatus, fire appliances and apparatus, and the training of firefighters in the case of fire, or something to that effect. And it's remarkable.
Awesome.
It's remarkable. The stuff in there is nothing in it that wouldn't stand the test of time today. Other than that, might need a horse to pull things, but remarkable.
And I think I've seen an excerpt that people put in there, and it talks about basically close the window to keep the fire from getting bigger, or close the door to keep the fire from getting bigger, and things like that from the 1830s. Just amazing that he was talking about flow path, way before the studies were done.
When it was even thought of. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And I have to read this comment. This one comes from Sam. He said 1836, back when Chief was a rookie. And I think I don't think
that could be. That could be.
All right, I love it. Chief, now I'm coming at you you've done the 5 questions before, but this one is a little different because you were one of the first ones that did this iteration. So you're actually getting them twice, but it has changed since the last time you did it. So are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters, version 3.3? What is the skill that has carried you through your fire service career?
So as basic as I can get, stay low.
Stay low. Back to Braidwood.
Well, partly, yeah. But, everyone does. If I can see my feet, I'm walking. Yeah, but you can't see the victim 3 feet away from you. They're not standing up. They're down. You're not going to see the bicycle that's protruding off the wall, or the table that's protruding off the wall when you're standing. And it could be some surprise for you. But the biggest thing is for the search. And that doesn't necessarily mean on your hands and knees, but it does mean as low as you can go. And then the other thing is, conversely, when it is shitty, right? When it's hot and smoky, low really means low. Yeah. But that's another thing I see is people, like, they're maybe down to their knee and they have good or shitty posture, it doesn't matter, but their head is still 3.5 feet off the ground or the floor. And sometimes you got to get your head on the floor. You know, one of the things that with us, when I started, you know, the SCBA wasn't the instantaneous thing. Somebody was getting it on, but the line was starting in. Well, your nose was on the floor. And it's remarkable how much you could sustain and survive that way. And I'm not saying do that now, but I'm saying that you will have, if there's, you know, 8 inches of visibility, you'll have it real low. You won't have it 3 feet up.
No, and there's so much you can see from what the smoke is doing down there. You know, so much it can tell you.
Rushing
So
back at the fire.
yeah,
Right?
going right to the fire.
Yeah, it'll lead you to it.
Love it. Stay low. Hey, I've never heard that before, and that is phenomenal. The reason behind it. I absolutely love that. Easy max points on number 1. All right, this is the question you've never had before, so I'm excited. It's Jobtown. It's time. You're en route and responding. You got to think of the scene from Backdraft when McCaffrey's jumping on and the driver is slamming that cassette tape in that cassette deck. What song are you playing while you're en route to the job?
We Are the Champions.
Queen. I love it. Queen is one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah, We Are the Champions.
And we have never had that before, so that'll be
keep on fighting till the end.
There you go. Yes. The goat in Buffalo. I see. Scott BFD 22 said he put up emojis and said the goat in, and then he put a buffalo.
He's a hell of a guy. That's Chief Scott Haywood, I bet you.
Okay. He'll have to tell us if it is him.
Great guy.
It's hard to tell sometimes from the YouTube handles, but max points for Queen. That comes from Sam. You get max points for the Queen reference. Number 3, what is your favorite fire service tradition?
That is hard.
Especially when you love the job. That's the hardest part, but go ahead.
That is hard. You know, I think as simple as having meals together.
Mm-hmm. That's hard to beat, man.
I'm retired, and it's taken me a lot of years to not cook for 12 people. My wife going, honey, I don't think we need all that.
We don't need 2 gallons of pasta.
No, exactly. But I cooked a lot. When I was a fireman, I cooked. Actually, my whole career, other than being a chief, I cooked. And
awesome.
I enjoyed it. I really did.
That's all. I love it, man. I love it. And that is probably an easy max points for the kitchen table, for the meals together, for breaking bread. Yeah, it's amazing. I don't think there's another profession that has the firehouse kitchen table dynamic.
No, it's pretty wonderful for us.
Yeah, absolutely. This one is on the clock. You got 1 minute. You've had it before, so I'm always interested to see if it's the same or if you put new ones. But you get to put 4 people on your Mount Rushmore of the fire service. We know Braidwood's going to make it, and go.
So I will use Jack and Harvey Supple, who were my 2 mentors coming up way before I even got on the fire department. But I'm going to count them as one.
Okay.
Because guys don't know them outside of Buffalo, but the Supple brothers is one. James Braidwood, who I just talked about, pretty phenomenal guy that probably most people have never heard of. And then Bill Clark and Manny Freed.
Okay.
Both fire service icons that people, again, don't know who they are. There's a lot.
Sorry, I didn't mean to walk on you.
No, that's okay.
Beautiful. Clark, Freed, Braidwood, and the Supple brothers.
Yes.
Very nice. And here's the cool part. Because of people like you, because of like Kyle Romagus, who loves to read and share stuff, a lot of the scrap listeners know Braidwood, Clark, and Freed, you know, and that's the good part about the scrappers, man. They are well informed because of people like you sharing those Mount Rushmores. Easy max points. And that puts us to number 5, heavy fire and searchable space. Would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
And a report of possibly somebody trapped?
This is your answer. This is you get to make the story.
So somebody's possibly kids trapped, and I'm off duty. I'm in shorts and a flip flops, and I sneak in the window and get him,
I love it.
just to get everybody pissed off.
No. And the best part is the people filming it outside so that they can say, see, they can, this bystander does it.
So firefighterrescuesurvey.com. I use their thing all the time. 12% of 2,000 rescues, the person is within 6 feet of the front door.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I bring that up, I use it in my command class at FDTN, is so you're a battalion chief, right? And I don't mean you got there
Yes.
first on a run, Corley. I mean, how many stations are in Moore? 5?
4. We have 4.
So you're at whatever station you're at, and you're going to deliver the mail or talk to the guys at the fire station. Right?
Okay.
You're sitting at the light in your chief's car, and a run comes in, and it's 8 houses down the street you're sitting at. So you pull up, ladies screaming, my kids are in there, my kids are in there. What do?
According to anybody who might be listening, I would absolutely follow all my SOPs and things like that. But no, I'm with you 100%.
Well, I know places where I've had guys say, there's no way if I went in, they'd crucify me. And I go, so you're not afraid of the fire. You're afraid of the fire department.
Yeah.
We're fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, we're fucked up. And the thing I always bring up is who will go in? I don't mean
no, the bystander, the pizza guy,
the pizza guy, the FedEx guy, the mailman. If they cut Saturday delivery in the United States, 100 more people will die in fires.
No, you're not wrong. And I'll be very clear. My chiefs would back me up 100% on
and
doing
God
whatever.
Bless you.
Yeah. Yes.
But I had a guy tell me in my command class, he goes, oh, no, I would back the car up across the street and lock the doors. It's in the SOP. I go, yeah, lock the doors is important. I go, because in Buffalo, they'd turn the fucking car over. If you were sitting in it across the street from the place on fire. And I said, I'm not asking you to go to the 3rd floor of an apartment house. I'm asking you to pop the door and sweep your arm or leg in. That's all. But they may be 12% of the time, 240 cases the one year they looked at it. 240 people were right there at the door. We're the trained professionals. Everybody will go in. The cops will go in and force. There will be 100 of them in the fucking place when you get there, right? But we don't go in. Something's wrong. And I know it isn't everywhere, but it is someplace. I had a guy tell me, he goes, I'd get suspended. I go, your chief should be spanked.
Yeah.
If you get suspended.
Be run out with pitchforks if you get suspended. Yeah, absolutely.
Something's wrong.
And neither one of us are saying be suicidal or anything like that. Right. That's not the point.
Right. No, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not asking you to do more than sweep that doorway. But they might be right there. You know?
Absolutely. No, I love it, man. Easiest max points, 5 for 5. I have to go back and look at the tapes to see how you did on episode 202, but I'm pretty sure it was max points on that one also. Absolutely crushed it. And that officially brings 271 scraps, number 271 to a close. My brother, Mike Lombardo, thank you for spending your evening with us. If someone wants to get a hold of you, get more info, how can they go about doing that?
bfdboss@gmail.com.
There you go. bfdboss@gmail.com. Okay, housekeeping. If you want to be a vigilante, go to patreon.com/thevigilantes. Join it. It's the cool kids. It's amazing. You get to come to the after party where we're getting ready to go talk to Chief Lombardo, and it's not recorded. It's off the record, and you get the unfiltered version, believe it or not. But he said he would be in there, and we always promise we're going to bust his chops. We're going to bust the guest's chops. We never do, but we always threaten to. So we'll see how it goes. Sam will be posting that link if you're not part of it. Another thing, Chief Lombardo wrote a unbelievably great article for the Book of Search. And the book, I got to talk about the Book of Search just right here at the end. It's coming out this month, provided there is no delays and no hiccups. It should be available this month. So I'm super excited. I'm going to get everybody who wrote an article to share on social media the hype video I'm excited. It's been an 18-month project and it's coming to a close and it's getting ready to be released to the fire service. 100% free to anybody who wants to download the electronic version. 100% free, the PDF, 330 pages, articles from 43 different authors covering 46 different articles, all on the subject of search. And there's 22 drills, I believe, that we put in the back. So you can flip to the back, look at these drills and go perform them that day at your fire station. And then it's just amazing. It really is. And it's 100% free to the fire service in the PDF form. Now, if you want a beautiful, badass hardback version with Paul Combs' beautiful artwork and all that stuff, you can purchase that. It'll be on Amazon if everything works out right. And all the proceeds of that are going to go to Firefighter Rescue Survey. So I won't talk too much more about it. And I'm super excited because it's so freaking close. So all that being said, let's get to the after party. Enough jabbering from me. Chief Lombardo, absolutely amazing. Thank you for a beautiful scrap.
Thanks for having me.
Audience, you make the scrap magical. I thank you for tuning in each and every week and asking great questions. I appreciate you so much. I love you all. Remember, mutts don't scrap. I hope the tones stay silent unless it is burning. Everybody, stay safe out there.